Hello, I'm attorney Scott Lesowitz, and on February 22nd, 2024, in the U.S. District Court in Rhode Island, the court granted summary judgment and dismissed the copyright infringement lawsuit brought by podcaster Brendan Schaub's company, it's called Thick Boy Productions, against YouTuber Kyle Swindells. Now, Swindells had posted YouTube videos in which he included clips of Schaub's podcast, which is The Fighter and the Kid, and he criticized Schaub and what was occurring in those clips he was reacting to. Now, the court found that Swindells' use of the clips constituted fair use. Now, my personal take is that I think the judge was correct in granting summary judgment and that the lawsuit never should have been brought. It was borderline frivolous. Now, I know that's going to make the judge breathe a big sigh of relief knowing that this YouTube attorney agrees with her decision. Now, this channel focuses on legal issues related to music. So you might be asking, why are you covering a lawsuit not involving music on this channel? You probably hadn't even heard of Brendan Schaub, you scrawny weakling. Well, first of all, that's a pretty rude way of making your point, but fair enough. I had indeed not heard of The Fighter and the Kid or Brendan Schaub, but there are aspects of the judge's order that I think are interesting for YouTubers who make music education or music commentary videos. But anyway, now on to the court's order. So the court's order went through the 4 factors that are listed in the Fair Use Statute in making its fair use determination. As for the first factor, the purpose and character of the use, the court found that, quote, because Mr. Swindells' reaction videos use the copyrighted works to criticize or comment upon them rather than to supersede the work's original objects, the first fair use factor weighs in Mr. Swindells' favor, unquote. Now, as for the second factor, the nature of the copyrighted work, the court found that this second factor favored Swindells as well. And I found the judge's analysis on this second factor to be interesting and a bit surprising. The court said, quote, the copyrighted videos, which essentially consist of 3 men in a recording studio with a few lounge chairs and microphones, recording a podcast on current events in popular culture and their personal lives, and which are basically the contemporary analog to television talk show clips, and which include reactions to the copyrighted material of others, are more factual than creative, unquote. It's hard for me to see a podcast by 2 comedians as a primarily factual work, but I don't think it's necessary that the judge came to this conclusion. The way fair use works, the courts consider each of the 4 use factors individually, but at the end, the court does not simply give equal weight to each factor and then just count up, okay, there's 3 for the plaintiff, 1 for the defendant, therefore the plaintiff wins. It doesn't work like that. And the second factor tends to be considered the least important by many commentators. Now, the most interesting part of the court's order, at least for music and fair use on YouTube, in my humble opinion, is the discussion of the third fair use factor, which is the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. Now, Swindells used what the court called, quote, several minutes of segments from The Fighter and the Kid, and the court found that Swindells actually included more material from the original than was necessary, as there was a, quote, significant duration of the clips that Swindells did not criticize or comment on. Therefore, the court actually found that the third factor weighed against Swindells and in favor of Thick Boy. So the reason I think this is important for music education or music commentary videos is that it shows even if a court finds that a YouTuber used at least a little bit more than the bare minimum necessary of someone else's music, that doesn't automatically mean that there was infringement. The YouTuber still might have the use found to be fair use. So that extra little leeway can be quite important because it's hard to know, will a judge think this is the absolute minimum use in order to do my education or, commentary work. Then there is the fourth fair use factor, which is the effect of the use upon the potential market or value of the copyrighted work. And the court noted correctly that for this factor, any loss in value to the original due to the defendant being critical of it and criticizing it it doesn't count, because criticism often is supposed to hurt the value and demand for it. So the order states that, quote, what matters is whether an allegedly infringing use serves as a substitute for the copyrighted work in the original work's original and potential derivative markets, unquote. And the court found that Swindell's videos were unlikely to serve as a substitute, of course, for the original Fighter and the Kid podcasts. With that, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully that was interesting for anybody who's watching.